Alright, the first step in our Monster Energy drink stove was to, empty the Monster Energy drink can, which I did. This one I drank. It was actually pretty good. I'm not a big fan of Monster Energy drink, but this one was pretty good. Tasted like orange soda, kind of. This one, couldn't drink it. It just had I don't know what kind of flavor it was, but it wasn't anything I cared for. So I drained them, rinsed them out, and then I took off the lids, which I have right. Oh, I'm sorry. I was testing one of the lids to see, make sure it was the same size as my old one that I was showing you here. So this is the one where I've already built everything before with the 32 ounce, and the 12 ounce and 24 ounce lids are exactly the same as the 32 ounce lids was. So I did find my cap for this. Finally, after I said I've had it many times, it was not a Pringles cap. It's a tennis ball cap, pen tennis balls, and then of course I'd have to cap off the other side with one of these lids. So white, black, silver, doesn't matter, and you just tighten that on. And I don't know that it's 100% tight and none of the alcohol is going to evaporate, but at least your felt's not going to get all scratched up or anything, because it's tight enough where you can keep it in your pack like that, and it's not going to come apart. So it doesn't take too hard to get it off. This one actually got a crack in it, so I've got to get another one. My son plays tennis, so as soon as spring gets here, we'll have all kinds of those laying around. So anyways, today I'm going to show you how to make this part of the Monster Energy drink alcohol stove. So you take your can, and this is really, really simple, and you cut it off somewhere above. So we're going to go right past the bump here and just cut off all this extra metal that we don't need and are not going to use. Now, you could save the bottom half of this and make a ultralight cook pot. It's a standard 24 ounce, similar to your tea and such forth. So I'm going to save that in my alcohol stove bin over here. And then you'll notice inside here you have this harder rim, which is exactly like this one was. But we're going to cut the aluminum on the outside right down all the way to that. So what I usually do is I start off by getting out a pair of clips or scissors or something, and just start working my way around until I get down right to the edge of it. And then I try and take it a little bit neater as I get around there. So fairly simple with a pair of 10 cutters. I'm not sure how easy it would be with a pair of scissors, but I would imagine not too much harder. And all we're going to do is we're going to work it right down to the edge of there. I'm going to stay above it just a little bit. I want to see how much the lip is comparable in here. See the lip inside there? To the lip inside here. And it looks pretty comparable. I don't have a piece of felt cut for it yet because I don't know what size it was. So the basis is that you want your felt to sit in that lip. And it looks decently the same. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it all the way down. If I didn't have a decent lip, I could have left a little bit of this outer aluminum to hold the foil. And we're going to check on the 12 ounce too if it's going to have enough. As they're getting smaller, there may not be enough lip there to hold the felt in. This one seemed like it had enough, so I'm going to cut it right down to the bottom. And I think I got that all the way around. Now what I like to do is, I like to toss it. What I like to do is I like to get a file and just hit that really quick on the edge there. You could use sandpaper, I imagine, because that's kind of sharp metal and you don't want to cut yourself. Just rubbing it across there one time or so. Sandpaper will work fine, I'm sure. And then what you're going to want to do, and I'll show you with what I already have built here because I already have all the lip measured out. This inner ring, I'm going to have to build a couple extras of these. I would like to have one for each stove and one for the base stove. And the base stove just pops right down in there. But when you go to put your other stoves in, you're going to have to take this one out. And that basically is a flat piece of felt that has a donut. It's basically a donut piece of felt that you kind of squinch up a little bit. And basically to do that, you just lay it on here and push it into that to squinch it up. Alright, so that fits in any one of these stoves because they're the same size rim on the inside there. So that part, you'd want to have one for each of your stoves, I guess, just so you wouldn't have to interchange it every time. Although you do have to take it out of here every time, so maybe you could just use the same one. Wouldn't hurt to have the backup, though. The next part is you want a little bunch piece like this that fits down on top of this, and that just kind of what that does is that gives you a little bit of a place to wrap a donut around, and then you make a donut. And this donut was beat up a little bit, but it worked for what I had. The size of your ring here, and then a hole in the middle to go around that. Now obviously this is the wrong donut, I got to cut one, so I'll have to measure that. But that would just sit down inside there, and then as long as it's sitting down inside there, we'll have to find some kind of cap for it now. So I'll have to measure this and see if I can find anything around the house, plastic cap type thing, or at the store that can fit on this. I had an aluminum tin that I was looking at the other day, and I'm going to grab that and see if it fits. I'll be right back. I found my aluminum tin, and I checked it here, and it's too loose to be a cap for that end. And this end, it just fits inside there, which is interesting because it fits all the way inside there. And it caps off, but not 100%. So I'll keep looking. We'll find something. Plus, it wouldn't do much good because we still have to be able to put our cap on there to seal it, like so. Now, the cool part about this is now that we have the ring on the top here, we can now put this in here, and you can watch them go together here. As they go together, the one felt pushes against the other felt. It creates a seal because of the plastic ring in the bottom of there. It never gets hot enough to melt that plastic ring. I don't believe that it's silicone, it's just plastic. But because it's below all this felt, the felt actually protects it. Then this ball of rolled, all that is a rolled piece of felt that I had laying around, folded over to the center and then bent up. And that just sits right on there, like that, and kind of gets squished down a little bit by the donut on top of it. That kind of sits in there. And this is all just sitting in here. It could be glued down very easily, not a problem, but the problem with gluing it down is, if you glue it down, then you would have to leave this piece inside here, because you couldn't take it back out to put in here. So you have to have a spare one of these if you were going to glue those down. And that might not be such a bad idea, is glue these all down with the ring in there, and then make another ring just for this. May do that, I'm not sure. It seems to be working pretty good just like this. Now, you can't put that in right now because the ring's in there. So that's why the ring, and the ring actually protects, this right here is enough protection as well for the plastic ring inside there. Now let me show you the plastic ring in here, what I did to make this work. And we're going to do that to one of these other lids to show you the whole process. I simply just cut a hole in it. And to do that, it was pretty simple. Took this, without the hole, folded it in half, and took a pair of scissors and put a slit in there, and then just cut it out a little bit, opened it back up, and took a little pair of scissors and just kind of trimmed around until I had a hole that fit over it like that. So, the only other thing I need to do now is get a aluminum pipe cut and a washer. I had a washer here I was going to use, but it's a little smaller, and I think I want to find a size like this because that's a good base for it. So I'm going to go ahead and probably head to the hardware store and get another washer. I have my JB Weld here already, so I don't need to get any more of that. And I'm going to JB Weld the hole in the bottom, and I'll show you. You can see, maybe not, but all I did in the bottom of there, and it's hard to see, is took a little piece of aluminum foil, folded it over, and squished it down in the bottom down there, and then rubbed some JB Weld on it and let it dry overnight. And then I took a file and just filed off the excess JB Weld. And believe it or not, it's done a wonderful job of holding. The stove doesn't get very hot down in the base down here or up in here because of the carbon felt keeps most of the heat above it. It protects it. So then I JB Weld around the outer edge here and around the outer edge here, and I JB Weld around the inner edge and the inner edge above. This cap basically just sits on top of the pipe with a hole smaller than the actual pipe. So it's not, the hole is not the same size to where it can slide over the top of the pipe. It's basically just a little hole in the top of it. Still sits, and the interesting thing is, let me show you, I have my pipe here, and I have a cap here. Okay, I have another cap here. The interesting thing is, you see the circle in the top of the cap there? I'm trying to catch it in the light. Let me look in the camera here. There's kind of a ring in there. That fits perfectly onto my pipe. Not perfectly, but it fit pretty close to where I could put it inside that ring there and have a good base so it didn't slide around. Maybe this one fit a little better. Anyways, that's what I was using as a guide as to how to line it up on here. And then I came back and I punched a hole in the top of that after I glued it on there and opened that up. I want to say I used a hole saw just to make a hole saw in there, punch it through. I can't remember exactly, but we'll get it figured out. And the last and hardest part to do, which I shouldn't say is the last part to do, is to put your nipple in here and your hose on. Actually, I did that before I JB welded it, because there's no way to get down inside there once you put a base on there. And I think if I make another one, I'm actually going to raise the nipple up to somewhere in the middle of this. What that does is that lets some alcohol sit below the nipple after you squeeze it in, and it doesn't suck it all back out all the way to the base down here. You could put your nipple all the way up to the very top up here if you wanted to. I don't see any problem with that. The only thing is, once you start doing that, your hose is like way up here at the top, so it's closer to the fire if you're using just the small one. But if you get a long enough hose, the gravity of the hose will cause it to droop down anyway. So I think on my next one, I may do that. I may switch from the base to the very top, or simply just flip the pipe over after I put it in. So we'll see. I have to get the extra little pieces that I'm missing, which I have the pipe. I just need to cut it down, and I want to get a nice long washer like this. So we'll get that part in our next video. Thanks for watching.